Could it be that in just 5 seconds, yes, 5 seconds that might seem meaningless to most people, the dynamic of a relationship built over more than a decade suddenly shifts, igniting global speculation and even pulling another name into an unexpected vortex of mystery? Or is this nothing more than an illusion created by a camera angle, twisted by the collective perception of fans who care too deeply, observe too closely, until every small movement feels like a hidden message waiting to be decoded? A short clip that would have gone unnoticed by the general public instead exploded among fans, showing Jungkook and Kim Taehyung within the same frame, or more precisely, almost within the same moment. But what made it unusual was not what explicitly happened, but what didn't happen. There was no returning glance, no spontaneous reaction, no natural interaction, the kind that has always defined their bond. And that absence is exactly where everything began. The 5-second video, which initially seemed like an ordinary, casual moment, suddenly became the subject of intense analysis. In the clip, Taehyung appears relaxed, almost too relaxed, as he runs his fingers through his thick hair. That simple gesture, lightly brushing through it, letting its fluffy texture catch the light, unexpectedly became the focal point. Something felt different, not just because of the visual appeal, but because of the timing, the context, and who was present. Taehyung, long known for his natural charm and warm, almost indescribable aura, once again demonstrated why he remains a magnet for attention even in the simplest moments. His hair looked healthy, soft, as if each strand carried its own story. Yet behind that visual beauty, fans began sensing an invisible tension. Was this just coincidence? Or a subtle clue that had long been hidden beneath the surface? What intensified the situation further was the presence, or rather, the sudden association, of the name Park Hyung-sik. Why did the name of one of Taehyung's closest friends suddenly enter a discussion that originally revolved around a 5-second clip? What connection could possibly exist between Taehyung's calm expression, Jungkook's silence, and Park Hyung-sik, who wasn't even visible in the video? Some fans began linking this moment to broader friendship dynamics. Taehyung is well known for his close circle, including Park Hyung-sik, part of the group often referred to as the Wooga Squad. This friendship has never been a secret. It has even been celebrated by fans. But when that name suddenly surfaced in conversations about Jungkook's perceived change in behavior, speculation began to spiral. Did Jungkook feel left out? Or was something happening behind the scenes that had never been revealed to the public? These questions began to multiply, forming a narrative that grew increasingly complex and emotional. In the world of K-pop, where even the smallest detail can become a major point of interpretation, this 5-second moment transformed into a global puzzle. Even more surprising was how Jungkook appeared, at least in the eyes of some fans, to be slightly distant. Not in any dramatic physical way, but through subtle body language. There was no exaggerated reaction, no striking expression. It was that very calmness that seemed suspicious. In many past moments, Jungkook has been known to be expressive, especially around Taehyung. But this time, something felt different. Was this a sign of change? Or simply a fleeting moment being misinterpreted? In the study of nonverbal communication psychology, small shifts in body language can often reflect deeper emotional dynamics. Yet without clear context, such interpretations remain in the realm of speculation. On the other hand, many fans tried to ease concerns by reminding others that the bond between Jungkook and Taehyung has endured countless phases over the years. They are not just colleagues, but friends who have grown together under immense industry pressure. Could a relationship that's strong really be shaken by a single brief moment? And yet, that is precisely the paradox. The stronger a bond appears, the more sensitive fans become to even the slightest perceived change. In the digital era, where every second can be recorded, replayed, and endlessly analyzed, the line between reality and interpretation becomes increasingly blurred. Some pop culture analysts even describe this phenomenon as hyperinterpretive fandom, where fans unconsciously construct narratives from fragments of information. In this context, the 5-second video is no longer just a clip. It becomes a blank canvas, filled with assumptions, expectations, and emotional projections. Still, the central questions remain unanswered. Why did Jungkook seem different? Why did a simple moment of Taehyung brushing his hair trigger such a massive reaction? And why did Park Hyung-sik's name suddenly become part of such an intense conversation? It is entirely possible that this is all coincidence, magnified by public attention. But there is also a more complex possibility that behind the scenes, there are dynamics not fully visible to the camera. In the entertainment industry, where images are carefully curated, what the public sees is often only a fraction of the full story. What is certain, however, is that this 5-second moment has reignited discussions about relationships, perception, and how audiences consume the realities presented by public figures. Are we truly seeing what is happening, or only what we want to believe? Meanwhile, Taehyung remains the center of attention with his effortless charm. A simple gesture of running his fingers through his hair is no longer just a casual act. It has become a symbol of something larger, a moment that sparked waves of emotion, speculation, and curiosity that refused to fade. And Jungkook? He remains silent for now. But it is within that silence that the mystery deepens. Is this the beginning of something bigger, or merely an illusion created by eyes that are too eager to find meaning in every detail? The answer may not come anytime soon. But one thing is certain. Those 5 seconds have changed the way many people perceive a small moment, and perhaps, without realizing it, have also reshaped how they understand a relationship that once seemed unshakable. And as the clip continued to circulate, looped, slowed down, zoomed in, dissected frame by frame, the narrative surrounding Jungkook and Kim Taehyung only grew more layered, more emotional, and in many ways, more uncertain. What once lived as a fleeting moment now carried the weight of interpretation, as if those 5 seconds had quietly rewritten something that fans believed was constant, stable, and unbreakable. But was anything truly rewritten, or were people simply noticing something that had always been there? In the slowed-down versions of the clip, details began to emerge that weren't immediately visible at normal speed. The slight pause before Taehyung lifted his hand. The almost imperceptible shift in Jungkook's posture. The distance, not large, not obvious, but somehow enough to be felt rather than measured. These micromovements, insignificant on their own, became powerful when stitched together by a narrative-hungry audience. Some fans argued that Jungkook's stillness was not distance, but restraint. That perhaps he was simply tired, distracted, or deep in thought. After all, idols are constantly under pressure, physically, emotionally, mentally. Every appearance, every movement is monitored, recorded, and judged. Could it be that what people perceived as coldness was nothing more than exhaustion? Or even maturity? A quieter, more composed version of himself emerging over time? Yet others weren't convinced. They pointed out that the contrast was too sharp to ignore. That in previous moments, Jungkook's attention toward Taehyung had always been instinctive, almost magnetic. A glance here, a smile there, small gestures that spoke volumes. But in this clip, that instinct seemed absent. And absence, as it turns out, can be louder than presence. Then came the reintroduction of Park Hyung-sik into the conversation, this time not as a passing mention, but as a central figure in a theory that was rapidly gaining traction. Some fans began revisiting older content, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, drawing connections between Taehyung's increasing visibility with his Wooga squad circle and subtle shifts in his interactions within BTS. Was it possible that Taehyung, in expanding his personal world, had unintentionally created emotional distance elsewhere? Or was this yet another projection, a narrative constructed from coincidence rather than fact? The psychology of fandom offers an interesting lens here. When audiences form deep emotional attachments to public figures, especially those whose relationships are part of their public identity, any perceived change can feel personal. It's not just about what happens, it's about what it means. And meaning in this context is rarely objective. There were also those who pushed back strongly against the growing speculation. They argued that reducing a decade-long relationship to a 5-second clip was not only unfair, but deeply misleading. that such interpretations ignored the countless moments of genuine connection, support, and shared history between Jungkook and Taehyung. Moments that could not, and should not, be erased or overshadowed by a single ambiguous interaction. And yet, the intrigue refused to fade, because beneath all the analysis, all the rational arguments, and all the emotional defenses, there remained something undeniably compelling about that moment. Something unresolved. Something that lingered. Perhaps it was the timing. Perhaps it was the silence. Or perhaps it was the way Taehyung, completely unaware, or maybe completely aware, continued his gesture with such ease, as if nothing around him had changed. That contrast between ease and tension, between movement and stillness, created a visual paradox that was difficult to ignore. In many ways, this moment became less about Jungkook or Taehyung as individuals, and more about the space between them. The invisible thread that fans had always believed connected them.